Julie, what's for dinner tonight?
Good question. I don't know yet. I have to go home and see.
What would you want for dinner?
I mean, I'm always in the mood for ramen, but it's not always the healthiest thing, so.
Listen, you can't go wrong with carbs. I love ramen and I love carbs. All right, let's get started. In three, two, one. Yasmine Angoe, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I am doing well. We're sitting here recording the next and current chapter of the All Good Books podcast. Per usual, because I'm involved, there were technical difficulties with like the audio and sound.
Yes.
So our listeners can hear, and I feel like I'm always like, oh, either it's gonna be a mono or I gotta get the mic to work. But I promise our listeners, I'm gonna figure out the technicals of podcasting. But thank you for your patience, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you for asking me.
Of course. And our incredible co-host, Julie Hansard, our creative director, is here with me per usual. Julie, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Yes. And we're all gonna project and make sure the mic we're using now picks up.
Yes.
And I'm glad everyone's well. And let's get started. Yasmin Angoe, you're local to Columbia. You're an incredible author. You're an incredible talent. I'm enjoying and loving Not What She Seems.
Thank you.
First question, or I guess our intro into the conversation, to the dialogue. What is it like being being gifted, talented, and black, and putting black characters at the center of your story? How does it feel, and how do you feel people receive that dynamic of this is who I am, here's what I'm telling, a reflection of me or the world I'm from or in, and them reading that. How does that feel, and how do you feel it's being received?
Well, it feels good, right? It also feels a little surreal because, that is one thing that is a very big hiccup when you are, black or, a person of color or marginalized from the marginalized communities and you're writing characters from your experience to make sure that you're writing characters that anyone who picks up the book and read it can feel a connection in some way because that's something that a lot of people who aren't black or whatever will be like, why I don't relate to that character. I don't, and it's because they think that might be a black character or whatever character. I'm not that, and so therefore I can't read that. But the fact that it's been received from everyone who's read it, I really appreciate that because I don't want people to, I do want them to know that the characters are black, or if they're coming from my heritage, that they're Ghanaian or whatever like that. But I also want them to find a connectivity in something that the character is going through, in something that the character is thinking. That's my main goal. And so, yeah, it feels surreal when people are like, you are like, oh, this talented author, because I really don't, I struggle. And you're saying all this, but I feel great that you're enjoying the story, because that's what I want most of all, is for someone to really enjoy the story that I'm trying to tell. And so, yeah.
I'm with you. I receive what you're saying. I think the enjoyment, I know the enjoyment comes from you write from a real place, or it feels like you're writing from a real place. I mentioned this off mic while we were like warming up, and also while I was trying to work through whatever I did with the technology.
Right.
I said, in Not What She Seems, Jack's mom reminds me of my mom. So I think the enjoyment comes from, it's not something that's so fantastical or far out there or a whole new concept. It's people and characters in a story, but it's characters and people that you know.
Yeah.
Jack's mom is my mom, and I love my mom. I love Jack's mom, but as mothers sometimes can do. They,
Yeah.
want the best for their children and be like, well, do this, do that, do this, and then add that, then turn around and do this, and make sure the hair's cut, and but
They're like, that's not the plan that I had for you.
exactly, and it's like, oh goodness, but her mom is my mom, but I think that's where I know that's where the enjoyment comes through. That's one of the questions I have written down. Where does your imagination and inspiration come from? Yes, it's coming from a real place, but talk about it a little bit, where it comes from and when it started.
Yeah. No, I like your question because then my answer could be like, for my first 3 books, the trilogy, that must mean that I was an assassin, killing people. But no, and that inspired. Right. But then I would have to like kill all of you people for knowing that. But no, the experiences really the stories come from maybe a feeling I have, a question that I have, like for the trilogy with the assassin, my question to myself was, how does somebody, become an assassin? Like what would be their reason? How do I get the readers to like really root for this person who purposely goes and kills people for not what she seems? One of my questions was, the mother-daughter or mother-child relationship, because my mom had so my mom's from Ghana, and so when you have parents that are immigrants, they come here to work and make sure that everybody is living this American dream, right? And so we don't come to be a creative. We come to be a doctor, lawyer, something that's tangible and gets you insurance and money, right? And so so that's definitely something that I strayed from her idea, and so her idea of what she wanted, for me. And it's even the same with my kids. You have a perception of how you want things to be, and then they change, and then you have to try to make yourself remember that this is their life and their choice, and you can support their choices and try to help them through the choices that they make. And so that was something that I was dealing with myself being a parent, and then also with my mom. And then with Jack, Jack is the main character. She is, in her 20s. She's a hot mess. I wrote her so that readers would really be annoyed with her and be like, why are you making these crazy choices? Because at 25, 26, I was making some crazy choices.
Is she a hot mess though?
But she is. Oh, you're the first person to say she's not.
I don't think she is.
I love that. Thank you.
Well, maybe I'm revealing too much about myself. Maybe I'm a hot mess, and I can be. But I guess even in some of her messy ways, which all humans have,
right?
She's incredibly accomplished. She's in grad school.
Yeah.
She was a finalist for that fellowship she applied for. If I'm using the right term, like the fellowship.
Yep.
Fellowship. She only didn't get it. Well, I don't know.
We don't want to give spoilers.
But there's a reason why she didn't get it. It's not because she wasn't worthy or talented.
Right.
She didn't get it because
of something
or someone. So for me, that's not a hot mess. You're at a great university. You're on the precipice of getting the fellowship you wanted. You're from the South. You're in DC. You got your own space. You got a roommate. But I mean, she's not a hot mess. She's a young woman who's getting her education and figuring out that's not a hot mess to me. I'm like, I wish I could go. Well, no, because it's expensive. But so many wish they can be in grad school, working their masters and teaching or working with departments and be on the precipice of winning a world-renowned or highly acclaimed fellowship that would set you up for your career. She's not a hot mess. She's talented.
Okay, so yes,
she's
talented in that way. So she does well in the academics and wanting to achieve her goals. She's not afraid to go for her goals and things, but she's very reactionary too. She's very knee-jerk, and so when something happens to her, she doesn't think before. She doesn't think and really plan it out. This is the best way for me to do this thing, to get back at this person, to save myself, to save my fellowship or whatever the case is. She just goes from the very first thing, and that very first thing that she's doing could be something that totally messes up what she's got going on. Which is the case, which is why she goes back home. She's forced to go back home. And then, so that's what I mean by, she's a hot mess. And I don't know how far into it, but when she finally starts having that little cat and mouse, that head-to-head with Faye, Faye is very, very smart and calculating.
We love Faye.
I love Faye.
I do too.
I always love my villains because I'm a villain kind of writer, right? I always write that. It's just so fun to write with someone who really just doesn't give an F. and they're
Very so
just like,
calculating, which I love.
yes, and I just love that they're just free and they can do whatever. And how does everyone else deal with that person? That's like my main thing. And so that's what Jack has to learn eventually through trial and error, is how do I beat this very calculating, cold person who doesn't mind killing people, including me, so.
Lord. Last question. Well, not last question, but because I want to make sure our incredible co-host gets a question, and I'm just so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Faye, the tweed. Is she wearing Chanel or not? We gotta figure this out, because it sounds like she's wearing Chanel skirt suit.
She could be,
like
but
Karl Lagerfeld. Like
she could be, but you know what? At that time, I was like, seeing like a lot of ladies on shows and stuff, like I'm wearing these really cute tweed outfits, and I was like, this looks really cute, and so this is what, and I was like, Anne Faye is trying to mesh into the Southern, so she wants to be very Southern lady like, and wear the tweed and look very like, regal, but so yeah, that's why she wears like the tweed, and it probably is Chanel and everything, high brand that you can think of, definitely, but yeah, so definitely that's her thing, is to wear these tweed outfits.
She's an incredible character. Julie.
Yeah, I'm glad we started talking about characters and how connected you are to all the characters and not what she seems, because my question was, after writing, any length of series, in your case a trilogy with the Night trilogy, I'm sure you get so connected and familiar with those characters. How hard is it to then leave them to go on to a standalone, or were you kind of ready? Were you kind of like, oh, I finished their story, it's done, I'm ready to move on until the next thing, or have you missed them a lot?
Oh, I miss them all the time. Nina, the main character of the trilogy, she's been with me for, oh my gosh, when did I start thinking about her? I started thinking about her in 2011. So she's been with me for that long, and I love her, and I loved her world, and I enjoyed writing, and I could write more in the trilogy if my publisher let me. But then I was also very much excited about trying something different, and even veering in a different like subgenre, because Nina is action and espionage and spy, and Jack, with Not What She Seems, is more suspense, thriller, psychological suspense and things like that. So it was definitely something where I had to be brave, and I'm I get scared about everything, but like I had to be brave and like veer from the action and be like, oh, I hope my readers will come with me on this ride. I just want to try something new, because I always want to grow and stretch. And so writing a standalone as opposed to a series was very scary, and it was a way for me to grow and stretch, and then also it was a relief, because I'm like, oh, this is a one and done. I don't have to, I can try, I'm cleansing my palette, and I can have these new set of characters and this new world, and I don't have to like still be in Nina's world for a bit. So I really enjoyed doing the standalone, and being in that lane until I find another idea that I feel like can be a series worth. Yeah.
That's so interesting. What is the research process like for these things? You're talking about espionage, crime. Are you looking up the laws? Are there any like special field trips you take? Like, what's your research process like?
Yeah. So it's a lot of research, actually. And I say that because, a lot of people think that when you're writing fiction, you just make everything up.
Oh my
and
gosh,
so
no.
Therefore, you don't have to research anything, but that's not true.
No, for it to exist in the real world, like there's so much stuff that comes up.
It needs to be believable.
Listen, especially if you put some weapons in your book, you better know how those weapons work, because people will email you and be like, that's not how a gun works. And I'm like, oh, I just thought you just throw the bullets, but no. So like I have friends who are in various, I had a friend who is an expert, or she's like a black belt in martial arts.
Oh, wow.
And fighting these different, she's always doing these different like fighting like classes, and she was like, you should come. And I said, I'm too lazy, and I'll just write about it. So like if I'm thinking about, oh, I want Nina to, punch somebody in their throat, and how do I make them pass out? Then I'll like text her and be like, how do I do this thing? And she'll tell me, and then I like try to find it online to find a video so I can visualize how it is.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole process.
Yeah.
And that goes with like weaponry, that goes with not what she seems, with the medical issues that Jack's grandfather went through. Like I asked one of my doctors with Jack's sister and where she is in her medical schooling in med school. I asked one of my doctors, like, how long did it take you? How old? Where were you in your medical career or your medical education when you were 25 or 23? And so they would tell me that, and so that would help me kind of make those things like realistic. And so there's a lot of researching. There's a lot of interviewing people and talking to cops. I've done like a Citizens Academy with Richland County deputies or sheriff's department, and actually that was really fun, and I really enjoy doing the ride-alongs with them and just being like in the cop car, not sitting in the back, sitting in the passenger seat.
Oh my god. And
going on like runs, and what's interesting is cops and doctors, they really like to talk about their profession, and so they'll tell you like anything, and you have to maybe tell them to stop because it's too much, and I'm like, there's more than I need, but like they enjoy like somebody asking them about their profession, and not in something where they have to give you some sort of like advice, like your doctors, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
they
a different.
Get tired of that.
Yes, and so when you're saying, hey, I want to kill somebody in this way, how do I do it, doctor? And
how do I get away with it?
Yes, and the doctor is sitting there, and so my 20-minute, appointment becomes like 45 minutes because he's just sitting there, and the nurses come in like, you have other patients, and he's just really into it.
Oh, so you're the reason my doctor takes so long.
Yes, I am. Sorry,
Oh,
I
my God.
apologize. I apologize for that. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of research, and I'm also an English teacher, and so English teacher, what we do is research, right? We want our students to do that, and so that's something that really came to me naturally, and I actually really enjoy the research, and sometimes I have to like pull myself out of it because you can really get in a rabbit hole and like look at all these things. Oh my gosh, I've learned this thing and this thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, Yasmin, you have to write, and so I have to like pull myself out of it and like actually write the thing.
I think that's incredible. And you're going to hear that word a lot because I use incredible all the time, but it truly is. The ride-alongs and the class that you took with the Richland County Sheriff's Department, did that inform, the profession, Jack's best friend, when she goes back home? Because she was anti-police. She was very much a rebel like I am. And not saying that I'm anti-police. I don't want to read too much into that. But she's very much doing something that she never saw herself doing. But she works for that town that they're in. They're police. She's do admin work for them. Did that experience of your classes and workshop inform that character?
Absolutely, because working or being in that class for, I think we were in it for like 6 weeks, and talking to all of the deputies that were there, and doing the ride along really gave me a different perspective, and how before I was like, oh, cops are these like different entities, and then when I'm riding along I'm like, oh, they're just like me, like they're doing like human things. That sounds crazy, but like I didn't see them in that way, and so that really helped me mold the police department that was that Jack's family is a part of, and how that chief is, he's not a sheriff but he's a chief, and how like they interact with each other, and how they interact with Jack, because I was able to see the interactions and the camaraderie and the brother and sisterhood that they have, and even how they interact with the public, even when they have to like pull somebody over and somebody's mad because they pull them over, and how they deal with that. So it definitely helped me figure out how Jack's friend was going to be able to contend with how she used to feel about this organization that she wasn't a part of, and how she feels about them now that she is a part of them, and she sees a different side to them, and so she can kind of put those two things together, and maybe even try to help ease the parts where they do make mistakes, and do things probably the wrong way, and so she's got those two different perspectives.
Incredible answer, and thank you for answering. I really appreciate that. I love her best friend. Her best friend is from where I'm at in the book right now, she's one of the few people who can give her a little pushback and make a smart remark, and Jack can laugh versus like, I'm gonna have something sassy for you. I'm gonna give you that same heat. She understands that's my friend. I love her.
You always need a friend like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tell you what's
Yeah.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that. They keep us friends are important. They keep us in check. They keep us balanced, and they keep us happy. Hopefully, if they're actually a friend.
Yes.
Two-parter. And the first question of the two parts for both of you queens, both of you ladies. Does anyone need to top off Prosecco?
Sure, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna top you all.
Yeah, I could use a little bit.
Of course, y'all. Those who listening, we like to have a good time at the All Good Books podcast. It's like a party, and I want to make sure I'm being a good host.
Thank
so
you.
making sure my ladies have something to drink,
Yes.
and myself included. I can't top myself off without topping them off first.
Right.
The second part of the question, going from what you learned with Richland County to inform the story, inform the characters. Julie and I are both the artists. We're both the creatives. Julie, that's at the top of this interview. She's the store's creative director. Does incredible work, and she's also a visual artist, and she does a lot of visual art that represents endangered species. I do photography. I'm a freelance photographer and a freelance journalist. I'm constantly learning, and I know now, going beyond learning, that you can be the most talented visual artist, the most talented creative director like Julie or myself. I'm not going to say I'm the most talented, but I think this is a bomb-ass photograph.
You're incredible.
Come on now, word of the day, yes. I appreciate you. That makes me feel good. I really do appreciate that. But it's more than talent. It's more than I know this is fire. And to bring it to you and not just stand on me or Julie and get into the second part of the question. Your writing is incredible. We talked about it before we got recorded, before the little technical situation. My fault, y'all. I love the characters. They're relatable. The writing, the level of detail you put into it. Because there's some books and some authors that they will give a lot of details. And Julie reads more than I do, and maybe she can attest to this or back me up. But you'll have some authors, they'll put words in, and you're like, oh, they're trying to reach a word count or just fill this in. But your details is none of that. You really are showing the world, whether it's Jack riding down 95 trying to get back to South Carolina from DC, and you're getting all the details like, oh, this is Murder Manor. This is all, the details really enhance the world, and you can get a clear mental picture of the world you're in. So you have that talent, you have the writing, and here's the question, or what I want you to respond to if you want to, if you're comfortable to. What are you learning outside of the workshop with your talent, with knowing people like your work, with it coming from a real and incredible place? Again, word of the day. What are you learning about, is that enough, as far as where the work sits, how you feel about the work, how you feel about people responding to it, how you feel about how it's marketed, and and I'm start with not what she seems, that work compared to other works, because I don't want you to get too deep into comparison. But for me, when I read the book, I'm like, oh, this needs to be number 1 on the New York Times bestsellers. And I'm just in it because you hear it's
Thank
good
you.
work, and I don't read everything. I love books, but I'm very particular.
Right.
Julie will tell you, I love memoirs, don't I?
And photography books.
I love memoir photography.
You love a good
books.
thriller.
And I do love a good thriller, but I'm very particular.
Right.
The first thing that has to happen, the cover has to pull me in. I'm very much, what is your cover like? What are you showing me? Because I see the cover first of the words. So I don't care about a review. I don't care about a name.
Right.
Pull me in. I love your cover.
Thank you.
Specifically, not what she seems. A woman in the window, shadow figure.
Yeah.
It's giving Agatha Christie vibes. Like, we're already setting the tone. So, take me there. Take me what you experience with the talent you have. That's checked off. You have the talent. What are you learning as far as what it takes to be a working artist, a talented working artist, and making sure your work lives and breathes in that pantheon of this book world?
Right. Well, I've learned a lot. So, before being published and before working with, an agent and editor, because I went traditional rather than self-published, it's really a lot of partnership. And even though I might have, the final say in like the creative aspect, right, in the kind of story that I want to tell, I have to, or I had to learn, how to work as a team. And I recognize and respect everyone's expertise. So I might be the person who's giving the creative content. I might be the talent, but my publisher knows how to market, and my publisher knows how, what kind of cover, because I am really bad with titles and I'm really bad with covers. And so whenever I send the title in, they never give me because my titles might be exactly what the thing is, and I'm with Not What She Seems, I think I called her a messy girl or something like that, and that's what I sent to them, and they're like, well, we're gonna change the title. They already know. So they came up with the title, and they asked me, what do you think? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's kind of, and so we try to go with what is the theme of the story, and the theme of the story is not what none of the people are what they seem to be. And then the cover, like I have input on that. They ask me what is my what do I visualize for it, and I was like, oh, I definitely want a house, because Murder Manor is it's a character in this story, and I was like, so I just really want this southern plantation style looking home, but it's not a plantation home, and it has to look really gothic, and I really wanted to have the Spanish moss and the oak trees and all of that stuff, because I think about that stuff. They couldn't put all that in, but they took that, and then
a great jumping off point.
Right, and then they made it sinister with the woman in the window, like you said. And so even with marketing, I'm not best at marketing. Someone can ask me what is your book about, and I'm just blathering on because I don't know how to do a log line or an elevator pitch. I'm like, what is that? I wrote a whole 300-page book. Let me tell you the whole 300 pages worth of book. So I really lean on them in their expertise, and if it's something that I feel very passionate about, I really don't like to do this, or or I really want to try to do this, for marketing, then they usually take what I ask, or if it's not possible, then they kind of explain. So it's definitely a teamwork thing. And even with my agent, I ask her, I book ideas through her, and she'll tell me what she thinks, and most of the time I take it, and sometimes if I'm really passionate about something, I might just write it quietly, and then be like, here's the thing that I've written, whether you like it or not, and how do we sell it, so she knows where to take it, what editors to take it from. And also, it's really, you want to find somebody who really supports you as a creative, and y'all should know as creatives, we don't want to be relegated to one thing, right?
Yes.
We need different brands, and we need different things to really interest us, and so I was like, I don't only want to write thrillers. I have a romantasy in me, I have a horror in me, I have a YA. Can I do all these things? And some agents will be like, no, we only want you to stay in this lane. But my agent is like, write whatever you want to write, and she'll figure out who best to take it to. And so she's done that, and that's why I have a contemporary fiction coming out in a couple of years, and a YA horror, vampires, coming out next year.
Incredible.
And so I'm really excited about those, because she let me try those things in different, I say let me, but I mean she encouraged me, what I'm saying, to try those things. And so those are the things that I learned in how to really build your tribe of people, and how to let go of some things that you really wanted, and be a team player, so that this thing can be successful for everyone.
Yeah,
Absolutely. This year I feel like it's flying by. We're almost in July.
How is that possible?
I don't know, because I rent, and I'm always like, didn't I just get these for $1,000? It's like, oh my goodness, my bank account, Bank of America, they're like, Jared. But no, it's like, the first is coming up, but we're flying through the year. With that said, you might can sense where I'm going with this, without giving too much away. This YA vampire situation, this book, this
Is that the next book coming out?
No, actually, I have
I
another.
thought I saw one on the docket for December.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's even another one before that.
So talk to us about both. Talk about the one that's coming out in December. The next up, no spoilers, but whatever you want to share. Why not talk about past work, forthcoming work in December, and the one coming for next year. So talk about both and start with the December one.
Okay, so the December one is, another standalone thriller, psychological suspense, and so it is called Behind These Four Walls. Yeah, and so, it's very much, it's about a woman who goes and kind of infiltrates this really rich family because she feels like they have something to do with the disappearance of her friend 10 years ago. And so she just kind of like plants herself in there, and so she's trying to uncover like if they did, and who did it, and how do I like get revenge or justice for my friend, not revenge but justice. So that's Behind These Four Walls in December. And then next year, I think it's it's March, a day after
wow.
March 3rd, I think, or something like that. That is She Drinks the Light, which is my YA vampire
That's
book.
a great title.
It is a really
Thank
good title.
you. I didn't come up with that.
That's a great title.
And that is like South Carolina based. It is the Ghanaian version of vampire.
Oh my
so
God.
our version of what we think vampires are, and it takes place on this island that I kind of fashioned after like the Fusky Island, because I went there and I was like, I love this island, and I love that you can't get to this island except for by sea or by air. And so like that is the island, though it's called something different. And so it was really fun, and it was also really hard to go from adult to YA, and dealing with a different publisher, dealing with a whole different crop of people, and writing in the YA vein. Even though I was a teacher, you have, it's just totally different.
Yeah.
And the one thing, that the publisher was like, it needs more angst. They really like these angsty.
They've
like,
got a yearn.
oh my gosh! It's just like more emotion, and I'm like, what more emotion? This is it. This is all I got. Like, why are we angsting so much? And so, so that was the back and forth that we always had, because I was just like, I'm so like these teenagers getting on my nerves, and I'm writing them because they're so angsty and they have to be emotional about everything. Whereas with the adults, they have one emotion, they deal through it, and then they like move on to this next thing, right? But no, the teens don't. But I still love them, right? So I'm very excited about that one. Yeah.
That sounds so good.
It
Vampires
sounds
are kind
great.
of having a comeback lately.
They are.
They never left for me. I don't know why they went somewhere.
They never left me either. I grew up with Buffy.
Yes.
Did you see Sinners with Michael B. Jordan? My
Absolutely,
husband?
I did multiple
I have
times.
not yet.
What?
Well,
It's on HBO Max
I was
now.
about to say,
Yeah,
I went home and I saw it was on Max and I forgot
Yes.
to text
Yo,
you.
thank you for listening to the podcast. I gotta go. See y'all later. Bye. Like,
Yes. And you can even change your avatar on HBO Max to one of the characters.
Oh, I'm literally
from
watching that
Sinners.
tonight. I'm
Yeah.
not even playing with y'all.
And then the Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, V.E. Schwab's new one, that's like toxic vampire lesbians, historical fiction.
yes,
It
see.
is getting so much acclaim. It's been so popular. Like, vampires are back, baby.
This track, so of course, Yasmine Angoe is going to be, on top of what's happening within the pop culture zeitgeist. Her writing always is doing that. She's doing that. Skin always on point. Of course, she's like on top of like, oh, here's a subject matter that I'm going to be writing about.
Yeah.
Do you watch television or anime?
Not anime so much, but yeah, I definitely watch a lot of TV, because that is the only way, honestly, that I can like detach from,
Because they turn your brain off.
Please,
Yeah.
because every other time I'm always thinking about story.
Yeah.
And being creatives, we're always thinking about that thing that we're working on, right? And how to like unravel something or whatever. And so I just like binge series. Listen, I like Murder, She Wrote. I know that sounds crazy,
Not at
but
all.
like I will watch the hell out of some Angela Lansbury, Jessica, and
Yes.
and figure out what's going on with Jessica and who's going to die around Jessica this time. I really believe that Jessica is the killer, and she's just a serial killer because everywhere she goes, somebody dies. But anyway, but
That'd
yeah,
be great fanfic.
yeah, wouldn't it be? So
Come on, third book idea.
Yeah. I would love that. But yeah, so like that's what I really like a good movie, a good show that I'll just like watch just so I can detox and so I don't have to think about anything and be mindless. So yeah.
May I make one recommendation?
Absolutely.
Interview with a Vampire on Netflix.
No, you're in that same vein though. It is on Netflix. And I was thinking, like when you describe the Vampire YA book that you're working on, that's going to be hitting the shelves very, very soon. Castlevania Nocturne. Okay. The anime Castlevania is great, but they recently relaunched it last year, and they just had the second season this year. And it's about I want to say they start in Haiti. Okay. It is in Haiti where there's a young lady who taps into the powers that Ogun give her, and she has earth powers. And this is during slave times, but the island rebels and push slave masters out some vampires, and so they end up coming to France. Wow. Okay. The continent. Yes. To help them fight a vampire they're chasing, and this vampire, she has drank the blood of Sekhmet. Ooh. And Sekhmet has the power to, control like the sun, the moon, use the moon to eclipse. And so, like, based on that title, I was like, I think you might enjoy it. So,
what is it called again?
Castlevania Nocturne. And there's a gorgeous male character that's best friends with the female protagonist, who's an opera singer. It's incredible. And even the young lady from Haiti, if I'm getting the country correct, because I might be getting the island wrong, y'all. It's from the Caribbean. Listen, give me grace in that. But she has an attraction, you find out, to a young French guy who's almost a ginger. Okay. Going back to not what she seems. And, one of Jack's friends is a ginger. He's described to be very handsome with the scar going from the chin and, a little under. Yeah. Are you attracted to gingers?
That's not where I thought you were going.
I didn't think he was going there either. You see my face, I'm like,
I am, and I put myself out there. I think, of course, like, all genders aren't the maybe, but like I think genders can be like hot.
I mean, yes, they could be.
They can be, yes.
Yeah. I develop crushes, on every like really great looking guy. I'm just like, oh, he's a great looking guy. I'll even like say that to my husband, like, don't you think he's a great looking guy? And he's like, are you seriously asking me this right now?
Straight guys. It's like, come on, y'all. Like, y'all know, you can recognize like,
and I'm like, come on, that jawline. He looks good too. Right. Okay, so and I compliment him too. But yeah, like I mean, I like a good-looking guy, I appreciate a good-looking guy, and with a good scar, looking all rugged, and you're just like, you're so mysterious and rugged, and you could do all these things or whatever. And so I like to put them, in my books because I'm like, books are fantasy as well.
So
and
what else is imagination for?
Yes,
absolutely.
There's going to be somebody in there that looks really good, and all different kinds of people in there. But like, why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the best career is like being an actor or actress because you get to kiss all these wonderful people. Does that sound crazy? Like, I just want to be an actor or an actress so that I could just go and just kiss on all these people and then go back home to my husband. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just want to, I'm going to work to kiss on, this person. Like, that's what I want to do.
We truly love a love scene. But to follow up on what you're talking about right now, whether it's, series work or the standalone, pick one of your works, and if you don't mind sharing, have you ever envisioned or dreamt about like, when this is adapted to a film directed by Barry Jenkins or a limited series being produced and shown by HBO because they're on the level.
Please, yeah.
Who do you want to play some of your character? Because I think a good Jack would be what's her name who played in Till. Y'all help me out. Come on now.
Oh gosh,
I see her face.
Did she play the mother?
Yes.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about because she also is in that like horror movie called Woman in the Yard.
Absolutely.
That just came out. Yeah,
she's
I know
incredible.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And it's not Anjuna Ellis. It's not her, and it's not even one of my favorites that's on Netflix in the old guard too, Kiki Lane. And she's always like nominated, critically acclaimed. Oh goodness, Julie, y'all can't see because this is the audio format, but she's looking up Danielle Deadweiler. Julie for the win.
Yeah. I knew the last name was like, I was like, that name. The last name was like Det or Dillerweiler or something like that. But yeah.
This is
like,
why she's that
think
creative director, y'all. She's always coming to
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. I think she would be a good Jack, and even though Jack is younger than what Daniel is, but Danielle transforms.
But you know, black don't crack, so she could definitely, you know, pass for a 26-year-old woman. Yeah.
Have you had ideas of, like, you know, in your, not fantasies or dreams, because we have to manifest or speak these things into existence.
Right.
Who would you want to play Jack, or any of your characters that you've written? What are some of the celebrities?
Oh my gosh, like people ask me this all the time, and I'd rather hear what they think, because every, you know, mine change the minute I see someone that looks good. Oh, it's him or her. You know what I'm saying? So I'm so flaky. But like, you know, I've considered, you know, Danielle. You know, I was like, oh, she'd be really good in either, right? And also this person, I don't remember her name, but I think she was in like Dear White People. And she was
Tessa Thompson, the film or the series?
The series.
I can see her, the main lead or the best friend with the braids.
I would have to look at them and see, but I think she was in that one. And you know, so for Jack, it could really be anyone. And sorry guys, but like a lot of times when I'm like writing the white guys in my stories, I'm really thinking about Tom Cruise. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Why are you calling Tom is hot?
Tom's listen,
hot.
Can I be honest and tell? Like I tell this to everybody.
Exclusive. Come on.
But listen. Tom, if you listen, if you ever hear this,
we're gonna
please
tag
know,
him.
like, you know, in my first marriage, our last name was Hunt. I had a son, and while I was pregnant, or you know, with him, we went to go see Mission Impossible 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love Tom Cruise, and our last name is Hunt. I named my child Ethan Hunt. I kid you not. I tell him, and he's proud of it. And I say,
impact is real.
I say, Tom Cruise is your father, and he's like, he is not my father, but you know, I think his name is cool.
I'm with it. What was the film he did? I'm like, as a person who considers a cinephile, I'm always like, what is this actor's name? But the movie he did with Nicole Kidman, help me out, Julie, where they're in the mask, and Stanley Kubrick directed it.
Oh yeah, the freaky one.
Yes.
I can't remember what it's
called. Though. That's where I'm going with it. I'm just like, listen. Tom, I'm with it. Them abs over that flow, you know, when he on that wire hanging
there. You listen,
there.
Someone who can jump out of a helicopter, you know, he's got some things going on.
You know what really attracted me to Tom Cruise though, and you know,
I like these faces.
I can't get over his Scientology stuff. That's all I think about.
That's why I'm like, I have to apologize.
I will overlook it.
Because, you know, back when Tom Cruise's mind wasn't right, we have to, you know, I'm thinking that he has moved on. I hope. Like, we haven't heard anything, but like, you know.
I think he's still in Scientology, but listen, I'll overlook it. Have y'all seen Rain Man? Not only incredible acting, he on them T-shirts and and I can see the VHS cassette.
And he was like,
this
takes us way back, but he was in The Outsiders, was he not?
Yes.
Come now.
My mom was obsessed.
Going back to what Julie said, Interview with a Vampire. Hello.
Oh, yes.
Hello.
He was a great.
Them ruffles. I mean, that powder makeup.
Put a pirate shirt on anybody, makes them look better.
Yeah. So that's my, you know, I don't even remember your original question.
No, I got you.
Okay. So that's who, you know, and then everybody's gonna say this, but like Idris Elba, but I had him in the Nina Knight as the villain because I was like, because one of my he was who I thought about because he's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And this
he
particular
looks so trustworthy.
Yes, and this particular villain is so horrible. And even I write him, my line is, he is a beautiful monster. And so I was like, this is Idris Elba because he's beautiful, but he does this remember when he was in that movie with I think it was Taraji P. Henson, and he was like the crazy stalker guy? That was the first time I've ever seen him in an evil, like in a bad role. And I was like, oh my gosh, because you want to trust him because you're like, someone so beautiful can't be horrible.
Yeah.
I need to look this up.
Yes, I can't remember what it's called.
One of the Star Treks where he was bad too?
Yo, we gotta do better.
We do. Listen,
we love books, y'all,
and
I love film, but we blame it on the prosecco, blame it on the wine, honey.
And he played a villain in something, and I just had such a hard time being like, oh no, you can do whatever you want.
Oh my goodness!
like,
Julie, my
I was about
goodness,
to forgive
PG.
him. I'm like, oh, he's murdering people, but that's okay. You know, we all have our faults, you know, and he murders people. But like, you have to look up the movie. Like,
I
he
will.
because it was with Taraji P. Henson, and I was just like, wow. And so that's really what I thought about, like how, you know, the opposites, like somebody who, just like with Faye, she's, you know, very beautiful, put together, and even though she's not from the South, she really assimilates, right? And you think, and she's rich, and you think that she's not more than this like light feathery, you know, materialistic woman who doesn't have
I think
depth
Zoe
to her.
Saldana would be a good Faye.
You think so?
Yeah.
Like it needs to be someone who
Slender,
can really deliver.
you know, mature enough where they know how to calculate and move in the world, but still has that beauty and grace that reads is a little bit younger.
Yes,
She'd be a great Faye, you know.
Yes.
Oh, incredible.
It has to be seductive and do all these things, and I even, you know, so I'm always thinking about, you know, different people for different roles. It's just whoever, you know, I have the crush on at the moment. But Idris Elba and Tom Cruise are the only people who have stayed through all 5 of these books so far. So
I co-sign. You have great taste. And
please forgive me. I know that Tom Cruise is problematic in that way with the style. I know it. I was so upset with him. I said, Tom, why did you do this to us?
But
you know,
Scientology
Tom,
hurt
your
people
family.
though.
I mean,
I'm like,
because
I'll overlook it.
you know, their beliefs are, you know.
I probably should do a little more research. Then.
Yes. But you know, I'm just
that jawline though.
I just close my ears.
Jumping out of planes.
He jumps out of planes.
I'm like,
on purpose. He wants to.
You know, it's like, to switch to be a little more serious, even though we definitely love having fun. And again, thank you for doing this.
Thank you. But Drew, you haven't told us like your.
Yes, get her.
My crush?
Yeah, like who would you see for something?
my
Even in
God.
this, you know, book, any of the books that you.
Yes.
Like,
Okay, well, this one, she specifically told me he's inspired by Hosier.
She who? Those
Yeah. You
listeners.
gotta tell us. Who
Yes,
the,
tell the listeners so.
Oh, Ashley Poston's book?
Yeah.
Yes, they don't know who
Because
she
they didn't know
is.
who she
Yeah.
was.
Oh,
when we
yeah.
were referring to her.
We're a podcast like
Yes.
mindset.
So we have we have an event with local author Ashley Poston on Wednesday for her new book Sounds Like Love, which just came out in June, and it's so good, y'all. It takes place in the Outer Banks. It's all about music, about memory. It's absolutely wonderful. Romance with a little magical realism, but the main character is a musician, or the love interest, excuse me, is a musician, and he is inspired by Hosier. So that's who I'm thinking of when I'm reading this. Beautiful, beautiful Hosier with his long curly hair and his Irish accent. So that is the crush for this book for the moment. But my personal crushes, I mean, I love Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones.
You love your husband. She loves her husband too.
Yes, Jason Momoa and Emilia Clarke together anytime.
That was wonderful.
And also because of Sinners, I mean Michael B. Jordan. I know that's your husband,
Michael
Jared.
Bay Jordan.
I know, Jared, that's your husband. I'm sorry, but I do
have a crush on my man.
I know.
Michael Bay Jordan. I'm sorry.
There's so but I know you're fine. I'm used to it. So many people lust after him.
He's
You
just
know,
so
my
beautiful.
husband.
You haven't even seen the slow motion part of the end of Sinners yet.
We were so
Call me when
busy.
you
We were
do.
so busy him decompressing from that shoot on vacation. That's like we're not gonna waste time watching him and his work. I'll get to it. He lived it. You know, we in Saint Tropez. We on the Mediterranean. We decompressing. We're reading not what she sings. We're reading Yasmin books. We're not making about his work because he needs a break, Julie. But don't lust too hard.
Let's throw him in. He could be one of the characters too
Absolutely.
in some of these books. So.
No, absolutely.
throw
We
him
love
in there.
Michael.
Yeah. So
Other than men we're attracted to and having a good time, how can independent bookstores, how can big box bookstores, how can book lovers do a better job at supporting you, your work, and authors like you?
Oh yeah, well, it's definitely, buying the books. Publishers really, book sales are what they look at. And so if you want your author to continue providing these wonderful stories for you, you really have to show the publishers that you want these books, all these different kind of diverse books, and that means buying them in all their different formats, and definitely going into independent bookstores and buying them there, because those are what will be sent to like New York Times and USA and stuff like that. And so and showing up at like the author events, because that is like one thing. Like we will have an event and we'll like be like, oh my gosh, is anybody gonna show? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And when not a lot shows, like it hurts our feelings. And so like being like just talking about it, sharing it, like buying the books, honestly, checking them out from the library, requesting them from the libraries, because that all of that helps the publisher be like, yes, this person, sorry, it's a business, and so yes, this person is worth us, putting this money into what we want from them, and they will they really work with you if they feel like you can also provide that, and so that's how you support. And just like you can shout us out and email us nice things, not mean things, please. Nice things, and we just really love it. And tell us what you like about the book, because I think that's what we want, is for people to like enjoy and to get something from it, and maybe to tell us what you got from it, because then we're like, oh my gosh, you really did read this thing, and so like that's like the biggest compliment ever.
Your work is amazing. I won't use incredible.
I thought you were going to say incredible again.
Every time I say the word incredible, y'all take a shot.
I know, that's right.
I should say that at the top.
We should have said that at the top. Yeah.
I'm going to zoom in on that same question just a little bit, and then I want Julie to ask a question, and I'll ask our final question as every author. So we'll like ping pong, because I don't want to be disrespectful of your time. But zooming on what I just asked you a little bit, give me and Julie and our listeners here in Columbia and beyond, and all good books, as if we're like one entity, me, Julie, all the books in Columbia. We're like this new life form. But no, jokes aside, give us an action item that we can do to make sure we're supporting Yasmin.
Oh gosh, an action item.
Yeah, just like what's something we can do to make sure that you feel supported, and something we can do to make sure your books are highlighted and being sold.
Just keep inviting me to be doing my book launches here.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Like
Absolutely.
I just, because I've had like I think my last 2 book launches here.
With Miss Cynthia.
Yeah, and it's been wonderful, because having this bookstore here, we needed that in Columbia. And so I think that this is a great space, and you all are very like you promote your authors, and so like just keeping that happen, and then somehow making sure that this thing is packed, so that people will just come for any of our events. And I love that you all like really love on your local authors, because that's like really key, is when people, if we're not one of the huge big authors that everyone knows, but like the bookstore still supports us and still puts our books on their shelves, and still like pushes us to customers when they come in, like that's like the best thing ever. Like for an author to come in and find their book in a bookstore, like that's why we post that all the time, because we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that it's actually in this bookstore. So
you and your work are worthy, and I promise I'm a hush, because I'm not the only host. Julie is our co-host, and I feel like I'm eating up too much time.
No.
But it's almost like, almost, it's very much like Spotify, because I'm also in the music and audio. Like, I've heard some of the most amazing voices, and some of my favorite artists are people you will never hear on the radio.
Yeah.
Because they not with this label, or they not got this gimmick, or they don't look this. It's wild. And you'll be like, and go back to what we talked about earlier, you and your work are worthy. You have the talent. And I'm just at a point, even with what I create in my art, it's just not about talent anymore. It's about an algorithm. It's about end cap placement. It's about a little bit of luck. It's about a whole host of things that go beyond just talent. Yeah. But to connect what you just said, just know you and your work are worthy.
Thank you.
We're always going to have your back. Julie, get in there. And then I'm going to ask the last question. Go ahead.
I always like to ask everyone this question, because I just always like to look at what has inspired me over the years. But is there a particular book, movie, TV show, either from like childhood or your time like as a young adult, growing up, coming of age, that you can really point to that inspired either like your drive to become a writer, or maybe just like really inspired you felt the magic when you read it, it made your imagination run wild? Is there any title that you think of when you get asked that question?
Gosh, there are a few, and so if we're going way back to childhood, it would be To Kill a Mockingbird, because I just thought that story was just phenomenally told, and I just really loved Boo Radley. Like I said, I love a villain, and he's, whatever. I'm not for whoever has not read that book, I won't spoil it, but he is a questionable character until you find out whatever. But I just really loved, being able to see like the relationship and the father kids relationships in that book, and then I love my Christopher Pike. I don't know if y'all remember that, but like there was this book called Spellbound by Christopher Pike, which is horror. And that was my first like real take into horror, and that book scared the hell out of me. I remember it to this day, and I was like, that book really scared me. And now I don't know if it would scare me so much, but I should read it again. It's called Spellbound, and it was so great. And the way it elicits that book, Toni Morrison's Beloved. And then
That
Octavia
scared me.
Butler, those, and then there was another author who, her name is L.A. Banks, which her name was, and she wrote like a vampire series, and so those are the authors last person, Walter Mosley. There was one book in particular from him was I think it was called Unfortunate Son or Fortunate Son, and those stories, all of those authors and their particular books really resonated with me. And especially when I was growing up, I was like, I want to be able to write, not necessarily like them, but I want to write a story that resonates with someone, that makes them feel all these different things that I was feeling as I was reading each of these books, terror or like, empathy or love or whatever. I want to be able to create that for a reader. And so that's really what got me into reading, is really wanting to be able to do that same thing for somebody else, like those authors did, those and many, have done for me. It's a whole different world, and I want to be able for the reader to be immersed in that. And so like those are the authors and their particular books that really like have kept me going and inspired me. Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
I love that question. I love the answers you
question.
gave. It's a great question.
Thank you.
I try to end each podcast episode in the spirit of Ezra Klein. He ends each podcast episode where he asks the guest, what are 3 books you recommend? You already covered that with what you just answered. And this is why AGB loves Julie. And we cannot do nothing here without her. So in the spirit of the last question, I'm going to switch it up and make it unique to you.
Okay.
Unique for you, your talent. And because I really I love your spirit.
Thank you.
And there's so much I don't know about you, but like when I saw you at the Read Freely Fest at the Richmond Library, I was like,
Right.
I was like, let me get your photo. Like I just wanted to show you some love because I just love you. I love you. I love your spirit.
Thank
and it's
you.
not about like knowing you for a million years. It's just some things like Jack you can pick up on. Something's right or something's not right, and there's something oh so right with you.
Oh,
So to make this last
sweet.
question
Thank
unique
you.
for you, I mean it. Not being hyperbolic or just saying it because you're here. Like I say what I mean. I'm more like if I ain't saying nothing, I'm quiet.
That's me too.
I'm not being
quiet,
talkative.
there's a problem.
Right. 'Cause I should be, if I'm with you, I'm like running my mouth.
Right.
Talking a mile a minute.
Right.
But to make it just about you, I'm going to give you the floor and make it less of a question wrapped in a question. Is there anything you want to share to our listeners or to anyone who will come across this episode, whether it be about you, your work? Take the mic and have the last moment. And we're done after this, so you're going to have the last word. Go.
Yeah, no, I just would really like for everyone, whatever it is that you read, what I appreciate about you, one of the things, Jared, is that Julie was saying that you usually read memoirs and photography books, right? But like you are reading my Not What She Seems, which is thriller. And so reading something that is not your norm, reading outside of the reading diversely, right, and allowing yourself to be in those stories even though you may not share those experiences or be in those same groups that the author and the characters are in. Like we all want to be well read, and that is how we understand how different people are, and can deal with all these different things. So take a chance, and not only the big names, because publishing publication tends to pick certain people that they consider the only people for a certain genre. But like, go for some of the newbies, go for some of the older, authors who have been in the game, right? And like support them, because, their stories are needed, and they will really like just make your world even more incredible in your imagination. So definitely just do that. Like read diversely and read somebody new to you. Yeah.
Reading teaches empathy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yasmine Angoe,
That's
talented.
me.
That is her. Talented author, acclaimed storyteller.
Thank you.
A Goodreads finalist for Best Thriller, and all around a phenomenal woman. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
And pre-orders for her next book are open.
Yay! Yes,
Yes.
please. For both the
Yes.
the adult and the YA.
Yep. On our website.
I
already.
lied. One last word. I lied. Sorry, listeners. Pre-ordering is so important.
Very
because
important. Yep.
it signals to publishers what is going to be hot. So yeah, you want to get the book when it's out and they're doing the promotion, but authors really get more support, and they can fine tune and tweak the author's talks and their tour when they see pre-sales are at a certain level. I recently he's the author of The Last Stand children's book, Antoine Edie. He recently was on his Instagram talking about
That one
the
has so many
importance
awards.
of
Yeah.
he's incredible. I
Yeah.
would love Antoine. I'm gonna tag you on this. If you hear this, we'd love to have you, because he's right in Georgia. You can make a little special trip.
Right.
But he was talking about the importance of pre-orders. So yes, support the authors, buy the work. Yes, that is the foundation. But do the pre-orders. Let's make sure the same way we support Marvel, the same way we support Pizza Hut and Chick-fil-A. I'm hungry. Let's support those who really bring it within the realm of the literary arts, and specifically, let's make sure we're supporting Yasmine Angoe. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you.
you.